Welcome to Cheater Fallout. Let us get started with today's story. My ex would have bought me the diamond one. She sighed. Holding the ring I saved for, I stood up, took the ring back without a word, and left. Returned it the next morning. She called crying, saying she did not mean it. I said, "Call your ex," and hung up. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I did not realize I was merely a placeholder until the very end. Looking back, the signs were there, painted in neon red, but I was colorblind with what I thought was love. I am a distinct type of guy, reliable. I work in logistics management. It is not sexy. I do not close multi-million-dollar deals on golf courses, and I do not drive a leased Porsche. I drive a paid-off Toyota Tacoma. I max out my 401k, and I fix things when they break. I am the definition of safe. Elena, my girlfriend of 3 years, was the opposite. She was chaos, wrapped in designer silk. She was an event coordinator, which meant she spent her days surrounded by luxuries she could not actually afford, curating weddings for people with old money. She was beautiful. Stunning, actually. And she knew it. For 3 years, I thought we had a partnership. In reality, I was a subsidy. We lived in a high-rise apartment downtown that stretched my budget to the limit. I paid the rent, the utilities, the insurance, and the groceries. Elena's paycheck was hers. It went to maintenance, hair, nails, reformer Pilates classes, and a rotating wardrobe of Revolve dresses. Because I covered the boring survival costs, she felt wealthy. She walked around with the confidence of a trust fund baby, completely ignoring the fact that the roof over her head was being held up by my overtime hours. And then there was Julian. Julian was the ex. He was the ghost that haunted our apartment. He was a commercial real estate developer, loud, flashy, and significantly older than her. They had dated for a year before me. According to Elena, it ended because he was toxic and emotionally unavailable. But God, did she miss the lifestyle? It was a constant low-level hum of comparison. Julian used to take me to Cabo for the weekend, not just camping. She would say while we were packing the truck for a trip to the lake, "Julian never made me pump my own gas." She would mutter if we stopped at a station in the rain. Julian knew the owner of this place. She would sigh if we had to wait 20 minutes for a table. I absorbed it all. I took it on the chin. I told myself she was just venting. I told myself that she was with me because she valued loyalty over money. I convinced myself that I was the good guy who saved her from the toxicity, and that eventually she would appreciate the stability I offered. I was an idiot. The dynamic came to a head in November. Elena's car, a used BMW she insisted on buying despite the high mileage, blew a gasket. The repair bill was $2,400. She did not have it. She had spent her savings on a girl's trip to Miami the week before. "I cannot believe this," she cried at the kitchen table looking at the invoice. "It is so unfair. Why is life so expensive?" I sighed, pulled out my checkbook, and wrote the check. "Igot it el. Just try to be more careful with the spending next month, okay?" She did not say thank you. She looked at the check, then at me, and said, "You know, when I wrecked my car with Julian, he just leased me a new one the next day. He did not give me a lecture about budgeting." I froze. My pen hovered over the ledger. That stung. It was not a playful jab. It was resentment. She resented me for solving her problem because I did not solve it with the flair of a millionaire. "Julian is not here, Elena," I said quietly. "I am. I know," she huffed, grabbing the check. "I am just saying. It is stressful being with someone who counts pennies." I should have ended it there. I should have ripped up the check and told her to call Julian. But I did not. I was planning to propose, and I thought this was just stress talking. I thought a ring would fix the insecurity. I thought making it permanent would finally silence the ghost. So, I doubled down. I started picking up extra shifts. I stopped buying lunch. I canceled my own gym membership. I saved every single spare dollar for 6 months. I was going to buy her a ring that proved I was enough. Shopping for an engagement ring is a terrifying experience for a regular guy. You walk into these showrooms with lighting designed to make you feel inadequate, faced with price tags that look like phone numbers. I did my research. I knew I could not afford a massive 3-carat rock like the one she liked on Instagram. Not without going into debt, which I refused to do. I wanted to start our marriage clean, not in the red. So, I focused on quality. I found a loose diamond 1.2 carats. Not huge, but it was flawless. VVS 1 clarity, E-color, ideally cut. It was a laser in the sunlight. It did not just sparkle, it exploded. It was elegant, timeless, and it cost me $8,500. That was nearly all my liquid savings. I had it set in a custom platinum band. It was beautiful. It was a promise. I booked a table at the Obsidian, the most expensive steakhouse in the city. It was one of those places where the menu does not have prices and the waiters wore tuxedos. The night started okay, but the tension was there. Elena was in a mood. She complained that our table was too close to the kitchen. She complained that the wine list did not have the specific vintage she liked. Julian loved this Pinot from 18. She mentioned, swirling her glass. We drank 3 bottles of it the night he bought his penthouse. I gripped my fork. One more night. I told myself. After tonight, we move forward. I waited until dessert. I had scripted this whole speech about building a life together, about how much I loved her resilience, about our future. I reached into my jacket pocket. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. Elena, I said, my voice slightly shaky. She looked up from her phone. She was actually scrolling Instagram while I was trying to propose. She saw my face, saw the box in my hand, and put the phone down. Her eyes went wide. Oh my God, she whispered. I did not do the speech. I just opened the velvet box and slid it across the white tablecloth. The diamond caught the low light of the restaurant. It danced. It was perfect. Elena stared at it. The silence stretched. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. She did not gasp. She did not tear up. She did not reach for my hand. She tilted her head to the side, examining it with a clinical, cold detachment. It is she started, her voice trailing off. She looked up at me, a flicker of disappointment in her eyes. It is a bit small, is it not? The air left my lungs. What? I mean, she laughed nervously, pushing the box slightly back toward me. It is cute, really sweet, but, look at my hand, babe. I have long fingers. This is going to look like a toy on me. I sat there, frozen. The sounds of the restaurant, the clinking silverware, the jazz music, the chatter, seemed to drop away into a muffled buzz. It is a flawless cut, Elena, I managed to say. I saved for 6 months for that stone. She rolled her eyes. A literal eye roll. I know. You worked hard. It is just, she sighed. A long, heavy exhale that sounded like she was tolerating a toddler's drawing. Julian's fiancée just posted her ring yesterday. It is a 3-carat emerald cut. It is massive. I kind of thought you knew the standard. My ex would have bought me the diamond one, not whatever this is. My ex would have bought me the diamond one. Something inside me snapped. It was not a loud snap. It was not a violent rage. It was a mechanical failure. The strut holding up my love for her just sheared off. The emotional labor, the financial support, the patience, the swallowing of my pride. It all collapsed in a single instant. I looked at her. Really looked at her. I did not see the woman I loved anymore. I saw a bottomless pit. I saw a parasite who had been feeding on my stability while dreaming of another man's wallet. I saw someone who looked at a symbol of my absolute devotion and calculated its resale value. I became incredibly calm. The nervousness vanished. You are right, I said. My voice was steady, deadly flat. Elena looked surprised. I am. Yeah, I said. You are absolutely right. You deserve the Julian experience. You deserve the 3-carat rock. You deserve the penthouse. She smiled, relief washing over her face. She thought she had won. She thought I was going to apologize and promise to upgrade it. I knew you would understand. I just want us to look good. We can return this and maybe finance something bigger. I do not mind if we have to make payments. No need for payments, I said. I reached out, gently took the velvet box from the table, and snapped it shut. The sound was sharp, like a gunshot in the quiet dining room. I slid the box back into my inside jacket pocket. Wait, she said, her smile faltering. What are you doing? I signaled the waiter for the check. I am fixing a mistake. I said, babe, do not be dramatic. She laughed, but there was panic in her eyes now. Let me see it again. It was. It was shiny. I can work with it until we upgrade. The waiter arrived. I am not upgrading the ring, Elena, I said, signing the receipt. And I am not upgrading us. I stood up. Where are you going? Her voice pitched up. People were starting to look. Home, I said. To pack? Pack? You are leaving me here, she hissed, grabbing my wrist. We took your truck. How am I supposed to get home? I looked at her hand on my wrist, and then up at her face. Call Julian, I said. I pulled my arm free, turned around, and walked out of the restaurant. I did not look back. I could hear her calling my name as I pushed through the heavy oak doors into the cool night air. But I did not stop. For the first time in 3 years, I felt light. I drove home in silence. No music, no radio, just the hum of the tires on the pavement. My phone was vibrating on the passenger seat every 30 seconds. Calls, texts, FaceTime requests from Elena. I did not look at a single one. When I got to the apartment, I did not cry. I did not throw things. I moved with the efficiency of a man executing a work contract. I packed 2 suitcases with my clothes, my toiletries, and my laptop. I took my passport and my birth certificate from the lockbox. I left the keys on the kitchen counter, right next to the stack of unpaid utility bills she had forgotten to open. I checked into a Motel 6 down the highway. It was not glamorous, but the sheets were clean, and more importantly, it was quiet. I turned my phone off completely, cracked a beer, and slept like the dead. I woke up at 8:55 ante-meridium. The jewelry store opened at 9. I was the first person through the door. The sales associate, a nice older woman who had gushed over the ring just yesterday, looked confused when she saw me. Back so soon? Did it need resizing? She asked, smiling. I placed the box on the glass counter. I need to return it. Her smile vanished. Oh, I am so sorry. Did she say no? She said it was too small, I corrected. She said her ex would have bought the big one. The woman's face went through a journey. Shock, pity, and then a hardened look of understanding. She nodded slowly. I see. Well, sir, I can process the return, but because it was a custom setting, there is a restocking fee. It is in the contract you signed. It is 15%. I did the math in my head. 15% of $8,500 was $1,275. That was a lot of money. That was a mortgage payment. That was a new set of tires. Do it, I said without hesitation. Are you sure? You could exchange it for store credit if I do not want store credit, I interrupted gently. I want to be done. Just run the card. I watched her type it in. I lost $1,275 in less than 24 hours. But as I walked out of that store with $7,225 refunded to my account, I did not feel like I had lost money. I felt like I had paid a ransom to get my life back. It was the stupid tax, and I paid it gladly. I sat in my truck and finally turned my phone on. It nearly crashed from the flood of notifications. 42 text messages, 12 missed calls. The texts ranged from anger to panic to bargaining. You embarrassed me. Where are you? I am sorry. I was just stressed. Baby, please come home. I love the ring, I swear. I did not read them all. I typed one response. I returned the ring this morning. I am contacting the landlord to take my name off the lease. You have 30 days before they evict you, or you can find a roommate. Do not contact me again. Her response was immediate. She must have been staring at the screen. You returned it? Are you insane? You threw away 3 years over one comment. You are so fragile. This is exactly why I compared you to him. Julian would never run away like a coward. I stared at the name. Julian. She was still using him as a weapon, even while the ship was sinking. I sent one last message. If Julian is so perfect, tell him you are single. I am sure he is dying to pay your rent. Then I blocked her number. I blocked her on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I blocked her friends. I went completely dark. The next few weeks were a masterclass in logistics. I waited until I knew she was at work to move the rest of my furniture out, and I mean my furniture. I paid for the couch. I took it. I paid for the 65-inch OLED TV. I took it. I paid for the Dyson vacuum, the espresso machine, and the king-size mattress. I took it all. When she came home that Tuesday, she walked into a hollow shell of an apartment. She had her clothes, her makeup, and her collection of empty wine bottles. Everything that made the place livable was in the back of a U-Haul, headed to my new, smaller, cheaper apartment across town. The fallout was predictable. Since she could not reach me, she took to the internet. She posted vague, passive-aggressive quotes on her Instagram stories. Things like, "A real man handles a woman's emotions. He does not punish her for them, and trash takes itself out." Mutual friends sent me screenshots. I did not respond. I did not defend myself. I let her spin her narrative. But reality hits harder than an Instagram caption. Without my income, the subsidy was gone. Elena made $45,000 a year, but she lived like she made $150,000. The rent on the downtown apartment was $2,800. She could not even qualify for it alone. So, she did exactly what I told her to do. She called Julian. I heard about it through the grapevine. Apparently, she spun him a sob story about how I was controlling and abusive, how I was intimidated by her past with him. And Julian, the ex she had idolized for 3 years, he did not swoop in like a knight in shining armor. He did not propose with a 3-carat rock. He invited her over at 11 post-meridiem on a Tuesday. Elena thought she had won. She posted a picture of the view from his penthouse balcony with the caption, "Back where I belong." But she did not move in. A week passed. Then, too, she was still living in our old apartment, frantically trying to sell her designer bags on Poshmark to make rent. Julian was not paying her bills. Julian was not leasing her a BMW. Julian was using her. It turns out the ex enjoyed having his ego stroked. He liked having a beautiful woman come over whenever he snapped his fingers, but he did not take her to Cabo. He did not take her to 5-star dinners. He ordered Uber Eats and sent her home in the morning because he had an early meeting. She was no longer the girlfriend. She was the late-night option. Meanwhile, my life was undergoing a silent renaissance. I looked at my bank account at the end of the month. For the first time in 3 years, the number had gone up significantly. I had not paid for her Sephora hauls. I had not paid for her brunch tabs. I had not paid $200 for a date night where I got critiqued for my choice of tie. I had an extra $3,000 sitting there. I felt a strange sensation in my chest. It was not heartbreak. It was peace. I started going to the gym again. I reconnected with the friends Elena had isolated me from because she found them uncultured. I bought a new set of tires for my truck, all-terrain, top of the line, and did not have to ask anyone for permission or justify the cost. I was thriving. Elena was drowning. 3 months post-breakup. The cracks in her facade shattered. I was at a hardware store on a Saturday morning buying paint for my new place when I ran into Mike, a guy who used to be in our circle. "Dude," Mike said, looking uncomfortable. "Have you heard about Elena?" "No," I said, grabbing a gallon of slate gray. "And I do not want to." "She got evicted," Mike whispered, leaning in, "last week. Sheriff came and everything. She tried to move in with Julian, but Julian has a new girlfriend. Some 22-year-old model. He would not even let Elena pass the lobby concierge." I paused. I felt a phantom twinge of sympathy, but it was quickly replaced by the memory of her face at the restaurant, looking at my ring like it was a piece of trash. "That is tough," I said, putting the paint in my cart. "She is staying with her mom in the suburbs," Mike continued. "She has been asking about you. She says she made a huge mistake." "She did not make a mistake, Mike," I said, looking him in the eye. "She made a trade. It just did not pay out." I walked to the checkout. I thought that was the end of it, but desperation is a powerful fuel. She was not done yet. She was about to crash my reality one last time. The silence did not last. It never does with people who view relationships as safety nets. About 4 months after the breakup, the digital dam broke. Since I had blocked her number in social media, she found the one crack in the wall, my work email. It started on a Tuesday morning. I saw a notification from a sender I did not recognize, but the subject line gave it away. "Just thinking about you." I opened it. "Hey, I know you blocked me. I get it. I just wanted to say that I am sorry for how things ended. I have been doing a lot of thinking. Living back at my mom's has been humbling. I realized that I took the boring days for granted. Julian is, well, you were right. He is not who I thought he was. I miss my best friend. Can we just get coffee? No pressure. I did not reply. I moved it to the trash. 2 days later, another email. My car broke down again. The mechanic is quoting me $1,800. I do not know who else to ask. You always knew how to talk to these guys, so they did not rip us off. I am scared. Original poster. I feel like everything is falling apart. I read that one twice. It was not a plea for love, it was a plea for competence. She was not missing me. She was missing the infrastructure I provided. She missed the guy who checked her tire pressure. She missed the guy who handled the taxes. She missed the guy who stood between her and the harsh, expensive reality of the world. When she was with me, her life was on autopilot. I was the pilot. Now that she had parachuted out of the plane, she was realizing that gravity is unforgiving. I deleted that email too, but the desperation escalated. She started showing up in places she knew I frequented. First, it was the grocery store near my old apartment. I saw her in the produce aisle. She was wearing sweatpants, hair in a messy bun. Not that cute messy she used to curate for Instagram, but actually messy. She looked tired. The glow was gone. The maintenance money, the Botox, the facials, the high-end hair color had clearly dried up. I abandoned my cart and walked out the back exit before she saw me. A week later, she was parked outside my gym. I saw her BMW, still broken judging by the sound it made idling, sitting near the entrance. She was watching the door. I turned my truck around and went to a different gym across town. I was not hiding because I was afraid. I was hiding because I knew that if I spoke to her, I would have to look at the wreckage of a person I once loved, and I did not want to give her the satisfaction of my pity. I was focusing on my own upgrade. I had started dating again casually. A woman named Sarah. She was a nurse. She drove a Honda Civic, paid her own bills, and when I took her to a nice dinner, she tried to split the check. When I paid, she actually said thank you. It was refreshing. It was normal. It made me realize how twisted my reality had become with Elena. But I knew the confrontation was inevitable. Elena was running out of options, and when people like her hit the bottom, they do not climb. They try to drag someone else down to cushion the fall. It happened on a Friday evening. I was at a semi-formal mixer for a friend's marketing firm. It was held at a rooftop bar downtown, ironically, overlooking the restaurant where I had tried to propose. I was wearing a new suit. I looked good. I felt good. Sarah was on my arm, wearing a simple black dress, laughing at a joke my boss had made. Then, I felt a hand on my bicep. The grip was tight. Desperate. I turned around. It was Elena. She must have seen my location on a mutual friend's social media post and crashed the event. She was wearing the same dress she wore to her cousin's wedding 2 years ago, but it fit differently now, looser. She looked gaunt. Her eyes were wide and frantic. "Can we talk?" she demanded. Her voice was too loud for the setting. Sarah looked at her, then at me. She sensed the history immediately. "I am going to grab another drink," Sarah said softly, squeezing my hand before stepping away to give us space. That was class. I looked at Elena. "You should not be here, Elena. I have nowhere else to go," she hissed. Tears instantly welling up. "You blocked me everywhere. You left me to rot." "I left you to the life you asked for," I said calmly, taking a sip of my drink. "You wanted the Julian lifestyle. You want to get it." "Julian is a monster," she cried. A few heads turned nearby. "He used me, original poster. He treated me like a prostitute. He kicked me out at 3 anti-meritum. He laughed at me when I asked for help with rent." "That sounds terrible," I said. My tone was conversational, like we were discussing the weather. "It also sounds like none of my business." She recoiled, as if I had slapped her. "How can you be so cold? We were together for 3 years. We were going to get married. I saw the ring. Original poster. I know you loved me." "I did." I nodded. "I loved you enough to spend my life savings on a promise. And you looked at that promise and asked for a receipt." I was confused. She stepped closer, trying to grab my hand. Her palms were clammy. "I made a mistake. I do not care about the money anymore. I do not care about the diamonds. I just want you. I want my safe place back." Please. I am drowning. I am living in my mom's guest room. I am drowning in debt. Just take me home. I will be better. I swear. I looked at her. I did not feel anger. I did not feel triumph. I did not even feel the urge to mock her. I just felt nothing. She was a stranger, a bad investment I had written off. I stepped back out of her reach. You are not listening, Elena, I said, my voice low and firm. You did not want me. You wanted a sponsor. You viewed our relationship as a transaction. You thought you were holding a winning lottery ticket with Julian, so you tried to trade up, she sobbed, shaking her head. No. No. It was not like that. It was exactly like that. I cut her off. You tried to trade up, but the market crashed. And now you are trying to sell your shares back to me. I leaned in slightly, delivering the final verdict. But I am not buying anymore. I closed that account the minute you asked for a bigger rock. She stood there, mouth open, the tears streaking her makeup. She looked small. Go home, Elena, I said. Figure it out yourself. You are an adult. I turned my back on her. I walked across the rooftop terrace towards Sarah, who was waiting by the railing with a smile. I put my hand on the small of her back. Everything okay? Sarah asked. Yeah, I said, looking out over the city lights, just tying up a loose end. I did not look back to see if Elena was still standing there. I did not need to. She was part of my history, a lesson learned in the cost of self-respect. I had paid the restocking fee, and I was finally completely free. Thank you for watching. Until the very end. Wishing you happiness, peace, and a wonderful day ahead.